Today we'll be reading from classic fairy tales, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house in a wood. One of them was little, small, wee bear, and one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great, huge bear. They each had a bowl of their own porridge, a little bowl for the little, small, wee bear, and a middle-sized bowl for the middle-sized bear, and a great bowl for the great, huge bear. And they each had a chair to sit in, a little chair for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized chair for the middle-sized bear, and a great chair for the great, huge bear. And they each had a bed to sleep in, a little bed for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized bed for the middle-sized bear, and a great big giant bed for the great giant huge bear. One day, after they made the porridge for their breakfast and poured it into their bowls, they walked out into the wood while the porridge was cooling, so they didn't burn their mouths by beginning to eat it too soon. In a village just beyond the forest lived a little girl who loved to run through the long grass picking wildflowers. Her hair fell in golden locks around her shoulders, so everyone called her Goldilocks. This morning, however, Goldilocks wandered too far, and before she realized it, she found herself deep in the shadowy wood. Soon she came upon the Three Bears' cottage. Glad to find a house in the middle of the forest, she ran from window to window and peeked in. Seeing no one home, she went to the door and tried the latch. Now, the three bears, who themselves were very polite creatures, never thought that anyone would come into their house without an invitation, so they always left their door unlocked. But Goldilocks, who was sometimes so curious she forgot her manners, opened the door and invited herself in. The moment she smelled the cooling porridge, Goldilocks remembered how hungry exploring the forest had made her. If she had waited for the three bears to come home, she might have been invited for breakfast, for they were good-natured bears and hospitable. But instead, she decided to help herself. First, she tasted the porridge of the great, huge bear, but that was too hot for her. And then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, but that was too cold for her. And then she went to the porridge of the little, small, wee bear and tasted that. And that was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. And she liked it so well that she ate it all up. Then Goldilocks sat down in the chair of the great, huge bear, but that was too hard for her. And then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but that was too soft for her. And then she sat down in the chair of the little, small, wee bear, and that was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. So she seated herself in it, and there she sat until the poor little chair broke into pieces, and down she came, plump onto the ground. Then Goldilocks went upstairs into the bedroom where the three bears slept. And first she lay down upon the bed of the great huge bear, but that bed was too high at the head for her. And next she lay down in the bed of the middle-sized bear, but that was too high at the foot for her. And then she laid down upon the bed of the little, small, wee bear, and that was neither too high at the head nor at the foot, but just right. So she covered herself up comfortably and lay there until she fell asleep. By this time, the three bears thought that their porridge would be cool enough to eat. So they came home to have their breakfast. But things were not how they had left them. Looking into his bowl, the great huge bear said in his great huge voice, "Somebody's been tasting my porridge." Then the middle-sized bear said in her middle-sized voice, "Somebody's been tasting my porridge." And then the little small wee bear cried, "Somebody's been tasting my porridge and has eaten it all up." Then the great huge bear looked at his chair. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair." And the middle-sized bear said, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair." And the poor little small wee bear cried, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair and it's broken all to pieces." Then three bears thought they should make a further search of the house, so they went upstairs into their bedroom. Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great huge bear out of its place. "Somebody's been lying in my bed," said the great huge bear in his great rough, gruff voice. And Goldilocks had also pulled the pillow of the middle-sized bear out of its place. "Somebody's been lying in my bed," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. And then the little small wee bear came to look at his bed. There was the pillow in its place, and upon the pillow was the head of Goldilocks, which was not in its place, for she had no business there. "Somebody's been laying in my bed, and here she is," said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Goldilocks had heard in her sleep the great rough, gruff voice of the great huge bear and the middle-sized voice of the middle-sized bear, and it was only as if she had heard something speaking in her dreams. But the little small wee voice of the little small wee bear was so sharp and so shrill that it woke her up at once. Up she started, and when she saw the three bears on the side of the bed, she tumbled out the other side and ran to the window. The window was open because the three bears, being good, tidy, always open their bedroom window in the morning. But Goldilocks jumped and ran away as fast as she could run, never looking behind her. What happened to her afterward I cannot tell, but the three bears never saw any more of Goldilocks. The end.